to discuss the cabinets, and our first cabinet is on the DOS. I've just got word that we have breaking news. Trump has met with President Zelensky, and these are the results. To fill you in, there's been a war going on between Ukraine and Russia. So, as President Zelensky entered the White House, Trump made a joke about him not wearing a suit. First, Zelensky took this as a joke, but later on he was asked again in a serious tone, and throughout the meeting he kept getting pushed around, which Zelensky did not like.
Yet, he had to put up with it, because he needed to close this deal. If you ask, the deal was that the U.S. would take some of Ukraine's precious minerals in return for some protection. Then President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance felt disrespected, so the meeting was broke up. And back here with Declan from XBHS News, and I will be going into more depth talking about the Department of State and the important roles it plays in foreign affairs.
That's right, Declan. In the first part of our broadcast, we covered the breaking news about the meeting between Donald Trump and President Zelensky.
Alright, so now let's dive deep into how the Department of State keeps the U.S. safe and connected to the world. First, we need to know what the missions of the Department of State is. To protect and promote U.S. security, prosperity, democratic values, and they have to shape an international environment which all Americans can thrive in.
This department was made in July 27th, 1789, and it was made to plan and implement a foreign policy of the United States.
The symbol of the Department of State is a bald eagle holding a shield with 13 stripes and 13 arrows, and an olive branch. They have a bald eagle because that is the bird of America. A shield with 13 stripes is representing protection of the 13 colonies, and the olive branch is supposed to resemble peace. This is a symbol of the Department of State.
One of their biggest jobs is negotiating treaties. Treaties are agreements between countries. They tend to cover a lot of topics like trade, military, and even more. An example of this was a recent meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky.
And once a treaty is made, both sides have to follow the rules.
There's even more important jobs to cover. One example would be providing foreign aid. They send food, medicine, and supplies to other need.
That work kind of helps strengthen relationships between the U.S. and other nations. The State Department also focuses on human rights. They have to work to make sure people around the world are treated fairly, have freedom, and aren't living under dangerous conditions.
Yeah, that's right. A pretty big responsibility. They also work to stop terrorist attacks and even sometimes cyber attacks.
And that kind of wraps up a report on the Department of State.
Well, we'll see you next time on XBHS News.
Bang!